The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Danny Laurel. Now here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate front. Inflation accelerated to its fastest pace in more than 14 years in the month of December. As reported by the Philippine Statistics Authority, the Consumer Price Index rose to 8.1% last month from 8.8% in November. The December figure brought the full year average at 5.8%, surpassing the Bangko Central's 2 to 4% target range for 2022. Last month's CPI was also the quickest since the 9.1% print logged back in November of 2008 during the height of the global financial crisis. Core inflation in December rose to 6.9% from 6.5% in November. The PSA said the faster inflation in December was driven mainly by higher increments in the indices of food, non-alcoholic beverages, and restaurants and accommodation services. Now, following that December inflation print, the National Economic and Development Authority says protecting Filipinos' purchasing power will continue to be on top of the government's priorities. Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Arsenio Balisacan says the administration will prioritize addressing the impact of soaring prices as inflation continues to be a challenge around the world. Balisacan also says President Bongbong Marcos's order to extend the lower tariffs for select agricultural products will help diversify food sources and boost market supply. However, Balisacan also acknowledges the need to boost farm production, farm-to-market connectivity, and coordination mechanisms in order to ensure food security and control commodity prices. The NEDA chief also highlights the need to streamline disaster response to cope with frequent weather disturbances in the country, which affect the supply chain. Now, December prices rose a hefty 8.1% year-on-year, and while this was expected, it's no less painful. Here to give us insights, we have with us Prof. Dumlao, Senior Research Fellow at the Ateneo Center for Economic Research and Development. Good morning, Prof., and welcome back.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, sir, a quick reaction to that inflation print. Of course, it came in slightly lower than the survey that was given. But tell us, were there any surprises here when you look at the figures?
No, I simulated what could happen. Basically, if the same inflation would happen in basically four, that would be sugar, meat, fish, and vegetables. Inflation would indeed go up to 8.1%. So the reason for that, it's actually the same, except it's the transfer of increase in price from transport and electricity, which carries a weight of 10% in the basket of goods, versus the four that I just mentioned. Once again, vegetable, meat, fish, and sugar, which carries a 15%. So if it's the same inflation transferring from the 2 to the 4, then that would be a transfer or a weight of from 10% to 15%, and thus the slight uptick in inflation.
Okay, sir, can we parse through, and I do have it in my terminal here as well, so you could see the different areas, no? So you mentioned transport. So let's look at that. It went down a touch from at least above 12%. We even saw, 18% in just the past few months. Does this mean that the oil story, the oil prices are here to stay, meaning we will not be seeing more elevated inflation for the transport sector?
It will start to slow down. Keep in mind, from year on year, December 21 to December 22, the increase was $50 per barrel to $70 per barrel, which represent a 40% increase. But from 2022 to 2023, year on year, the increase is from $73 per barrel to $77 dollars per barrel, which is only just 5%, which means the pressure coming from the price of oil is settling down again, barring no more spikes in the price of oil.
Okay, do you expect this figure to go even lower? Is this the peak for transport?
It's let's say it's a random walk. It's the best forecast for the oil is what we have right now. So it should settle down right there where it is.
Okay, sir, let's move over to the food sector. No, still above 10%, which if you take a look at the past months is the highest we've seen in at least 6 months. Sir, why is this the case, especially with the reforms that the Agriculture Secretary, who happens to be our president, has put in place and urgently at that to reduce the prices of sugar in particular and other commodities? Why is this still the case? Why are we still having such high food inflation?
It's a pass through basically from the price of oil. Then it becomes more expensive to transport the food, meat, sugar, and vegetables, and therefore the pass through of the prices going that direction. So again, I guessed it in your show. I think a month or 2 months ago, and thank you for that. And I said there are three stages. The first is the source, which is oil, which we see now is settling down. Then the second one is the pass through, and we are now in the pass through stage, which is passing the prices, the cost to the transport of the food. And then of course the third one, which we hope not to see, is the inflation wage spiral. But barring that, it should settle down. It's at so it's 8% to 8.1%. It's a very small. It's painful. We would be insensitive to say that it's not.
Yes, sir. Sir, how much longer do we need to extend the reduction on tariffs on imports to ensure that we don't see this anymore? All right, we seem to have lost Professor Luis Dumlao, but we will try and get him back on the show. For now, we'll take a quick break and we'll be back with more stories after that. Keep it here on One News. And you're still watching One News Now. I'm Danny Laurel. Chinese President Xi Jinping says China is open to resuming talks on a possible joint oil and gas exploration with the Philippines. Reuters quoted Xi as saying that he is willing to do it in the non-disputed areas of the South China Sea. Xi made the statement as he met with President Bongbong Marcos, who wraps up his 3-day state visit in Beijing today. President Marcos, for his part, said they discussed possible steps to avoid mistakes and misunderstandings in the future. Beijing's sweeping claims in the South China Sea, which is rich in oil and gas, have been a source of tension in the region. Manila Water and Maynilad customers may have to tighten their belts once more this year after water regulator MWSS approved the hikes in mandatory rate rebasing. Manila Water will increase rates by just over 8 pesos per cubic meter. Households that consume 10 cubic meters will see their monthly bills increase by 41 to 187 pesos. Maynilad, on the other hand, will implement a rate increase of more than 3 pesos per cubic meter. This means those who consume 10 cubic meters will see monthly bills jump by 5 to 42 pesos. Meanwhile, some areas in Parañaque, Muntinlupa, Las Piñas, and Cavite have been experiencing water interruptions since the start of the new year. This is reportedly due to a broken equipment at the Putatan water treatment plant. Maynilad says the service interruptions will not go beyond January 15th. If it does, the MWSS says they are ready to impose rebates and refunds for those affected.
It's every day that we need water. Hindi naman pwede na mawalan tayong tubig. And actually, we've noticed this and we've been monitoring this even before Christmas. We will not hesitate to keep on imposing financial penalties on Maynilad for every time that there's a problem that they are unable to provide the necessary and proper service to the consumers.
And the Securities and Exchange Commission has rolled out rules for sustainable and responsible investing. A company must adopt one or more sustainability principles as its key investment focus to qualify as an SRI fund. Marketing materials must have a fair, balanced, and consistent description of environmental, social, and governance aspects. There are also reportorial requirements, which include the confirmation of compliance with SRI rules, among others. These apply to SRI investment companies and those non-SRI that incorporate sustainability in their investment objectives. All right, quick check on the markets before we end this broadcast. First, quickly on Manila Water, after, of course, the MWSS approved a rate hike for both Maynilad and Manila Water. You can see that stock trading up by at least 40 centavos. That's a hefty 2%, up to 20 pesos and 5 centavos here. Let's take a quick peek at our own index here. We are up by 18.13 points. That's up by 0.3%. So continuing on that uphill climb, actually strengthening above 6,700 levels here. I did want to take a quick peek at which ones are our movers here. You know, with the elevated inflation above 8%, we are expecting, of course, the Bangko Sentral to possibly continue with its rate hike cycle, benefiting possibly the banks. You do see a few of them here in some of the best performing lists, in particular BPI, Metrobank, and BDO are some of our top performers of the day. Of course, BPI had also just mentioned that they have resolved, it seems, that issue of duplication of accounts that happened on December 30 and 31st. December 30 and 31st, and that's up by 3% this morning. Now, for more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World Online, or visit our website, that's onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app, so register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News Live anytime, anywhere. I'm Danny Laurel. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News, all sides, all the time.